Okay, Mr. Fraser Matthews, good to see you, sir. President of Netcoins. Thank you so much for taking the time in meeting with us. It's been how long has it been since we last spoke? I think online. It's been close to a year, and so I wanted to catch up and see how was your last year at Netcoins.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on alongside the BIGGFAM. Again, it's great to be with the network and with the team from there as well. So it's always great to have conversations with you and the group. This year at Netcoins, I mean, it's been a really interesting year, to say the least, in the crypto industry specifically, not just with Netcoins, but seeing a pretty flat market for most of this year. The price of Bitcoin was getting quite low at the start of the year, and it very slowly brought itself up, throughout the year. But we didn't see a lot of kind of major price action in the crypto industry, and a lot of that came with some trepidation around what does come next. What does come next for crypto? We were still reeling in the wake of FTX and SBF and waiting to see what would happen with Binance. We had a lot of outside economic indicators from traditional financial markets playing its role. Talks of inflation, high interest rates, and it made it difficult for the investing community as well to kind of look at the crypto space. From the Netcoin side, a lot of the year was around building foundations, building up the base, working on the product, ensuring that we were going to have a really robust platform to take forward with us as well. So inside of Netcoins, a few different things for this year. Marketing and spend during the kind of, call it down market, was down. Strategically, we took the position to not, as I've been saying it internally, throw good money at a bad market. Chasing people when the market is quiet wasn't the right approach. We continued to grow steadily month by month, acquiring new users at a rate which we felt was okay for the time, right? It's in a slow market, people aren't rushing into the crypto market. They're not piling in like we've seen years past. So we didn't really kind of chase customer acquisition so much from a spend perspective. We continued to be out there on social media in ways that would be really effective and low cost. So having weekly market mover email updates, engaging with the registered email base, connecting with people on Twitter, ensuring that we had a nice voice in the market. And we wanted to really build out functionality so that as the market did turn, we could be there first for users. So things like our coin widget for the price tracking, Netcoins, it's on the front page of your phone. If you have the widget set up, it could be on your lock screen. You can track multiple coins and, with a touch of a button, get right to a buy screen. So it's really interesting. And that was intentional because we did think things would move in a positive direction. And as they do, we're better to see it than a nice Netcoins logo next to that as well. In addition to that, a lot of our focus was on what we called the always-on investor and making sure that we were connected with you. If the market was moving, we wanted to be able to tell you whether it's up or down. So push notifications, actionable insights, information that investors can use and take forward as they review their portfolios, and as well putting more insights into the application itself so that you know more from a position perspective. You can set your limit orders, you can track price movements, you can get alerts, you can get price alerts, and making sure that we're connected. So as you take your phone around in your pocket, Netcoins is with you along the way. And that was a lot of what we wanted to do. As well, in anticipation of people coming back into crypto market and new users coming in, simplifying our onboarding and our registration journey. We did a lot of work on this. Cutting down the registration process by over 60%. So making it simple for someone to onboard and register with Netcoin. So when people are coming for a platform, we're very easy. It's very simple and very straightforward. And that word easy has been at the core of what we've been trying to do. So we really focus around being fast, around being simple, and around being transparent, and making sure that those are at the core of everything that we do. We did launch staking, which has had growth. It's been steady. It's been interesting to see growth there. And I know we'll get into more questions about how that grows and expands in the future. So I'll save it for that segment. But in addition to that, more recently at the start of October, of kind of re-engaging and kicking off our OTC trading desk and getting the sales side into Netcoins as well. So we wanted to make sure that we timed that for being around the right kind of parts of the market curve. And touch wood, we were very lucky with when we made our hire of Andrew and started that again. So we kicked that off with Andrew at the start of October, and around the 20th of October is when Bitcoin crossed the 30,000 US dollar line, and that's where we've seen significant growth in the market. And we can talk a bit more about what we're seeing in Q4, maybe a bit later on as well. But it's very clear that there's a huge shift in the market, and we're seeing that on the platform from a trading perspective, a new user perspective, and a volume perspective.
Thank you for the synopsis of the last year and what you've been tackling in terms of bringing Netcoins up to the forefront and all the innovations and add-ons that you have done. So before we continue on, I did want to talk a little bit about, because we haven't spoken about a year, there has been a major change in BIGG itself,
Yes.
which was the appointing of the interim CEO of Dan Resnick. So
Yeah.
I wanted to know a little bit about your thoughts on the hire, and how is a lot of what he wants to do is set up with cohesion between the companies. So I wanted to pick your brain on your initial thoughts of him coming in. What have you seen in changes with him coming in, and what kind of cohesion? I know that we can't speak a lot about it, but in terms of what excites you in the future with Netcoins and more importantly, Dan, so to speak, leading the way.
Yeah, Dan's great. Dan hit the ground sprinting, not running. His legs were moving before he touched down because the market was moving, and it was an interesting transaction to bring on TerraZero and to expand the portfolio from big digital assets further into this metaverse and now the intraverse with TerraZero. It is a very interesting proposition for us to be joining forces with, and we're really excited about it because there's a very captive audience there, and it's individuals who are tech savvy, people that are into entertainment, whether it's music, lifestyle brands, and it's a really great audience that Netcoins now gets to tap into. Dan is very much focused on bringing the three operating entities, Blockchain Intelligence Group, Netcoins, and TerraZero, to be as coupled as possible. And that means finding ways that we can have activations in the metaverse, in the intraverse, that Netcoins can have a presence, that we can reach their audience in a way that we haven't been able to before. And we see that as a new channel for Netcoins. So we can go and broadcast, we can host interviews there. We might be able to have something together in the intraverse in time, having a brand presence that's connected so that, if there is a big concert that they're hosting, that Netcoins is there advertising in it. And, our place is right there, and you can come in and learn more about Netcoins, start the sign-up process, and find ways to join us. And we'll also have some cross-cutting promotions and ways that we can engage with their audience and vice versa over at Netcoins. And that also gets to be underpinned by the exciting technology that we do have at Blockchain Intelligence Group. And Dan's experience in other parts of the market, in the crypto industry and in other parts of the blockchain industry are helping us to focus on new ideas, to kind of figure out innovation from within, find new technologies that we can layer in, like artificial intelligence, so that we can take data sets that we have, that we can take market intelligence that we have, and build out new products and services with that. So he's very much hungry for that. He's got great public markets experience. He came out, within 2 weeks, and we met and face to face, and it was great to see him and talk a bit more about the plans. And ultimately, he's extremely supportive of what we're doing here at Netcoins. He's a big fan of what we're doing, and he's really going to bolster us in the new year.
And I think it's very important to kind of highlight the fact that, we're going into, speaking on behalf of Terra Zero right now, the metaverse play is really early in its infancy. And the ability to have Netcoins there as a prominent player, for example, to exchange, for example, fiat, in it, to be able, I know Dan used the example of, you're going to have your own room, you're going to have NFTs on the
Correct.
wall. Well, guess what? You buy them with Netcoins. You sell them with Netcoins. You want
Correct.
to, you're doing a concert. And all of a sudden you're selling tickets. Well, I have fiat. How do I pay for the tickets? Right. So there's so many amazing, I think at least so many amazing relationships and cohesion that could be used with Netcoins in, the forefront of in my opinion, the biggest brand there is for the metaverse coming up. So, which is pretty remarkable in my mind, and I'm sure that really excites you as well.
Definitely. And it's exciting brands as well. Like, it's a growing industry. It's about experience. And we want people to experience crypto with Netcoins. We want them to know that we're the brand that's with them. But when you're engaging with Fidelity, when you're engaging with PwC or Warner Records or CBS or Estee Lauder, these are great brands with really great customers, intelligent customers, people that are looking for different experiences, people that are probably savvy about Web 2, Web 3, AR, VR, crypto. And we also get to talk to those institutions through Terra Zero. We get our brand of Netcoins all of a sudden, rolling up to the leadership team of PwC, right? Or at Estee Lauder. And as organizations look at crypto as potentially an investment, something to have on the balance sheet, then again, Netcoin's name gets to come up through that as a trusted partner. So the brand growth with Terra Zero, that we're all in this together, allows us to go in those conversations too, to say, it's not just Terra Zero, it's not just this activation, it's not just this event. Here's how you can get ongoing engagement with Terra Zero or with Netcoins and so on and so forth. So that helps us to have multiple conversations on multiple fronts with similar clients as well. So that part's really exciting.
Yeah, and and it also it helps significantly, to be honest. And we're going to transition a little bit, but it helps significantly the fact that your slogan is "We're regulated and we're transparent." And so, before we move on to some more updates of Netcoins, there has been a couple of headlines recently in the past with Binance and them leaving the Canadian market. So, you know, wanted to get your kind of mindset on that, and where does that leave other companies that are following the rubric, right? Regulated, following transparency, following rule KYC, FINRA rules, following all of that. So, what are your thoughts on firstly Binance leaving the Canadian market, and secondly, how does that position Netcoins?
Yeah, when it comes to regulation in Canada, of course, we've been there since day one and at the forefront of it. We're a restricted dealer crypto trading platform in Canada. In 2024, we will go through the CIRO registration process, which is the next step for restricted dealers in Canada. We're excited by that. We're already engaged with them, and we're on the path. So that's fantastic, and it's an evolution as far as crypto trading platforms in Canada. But when it does come down to it, compliance and regulation, it must be adhered to if the industry is going to be seen as a mature industry and a trusted industry. And it has all the tools and fundamentals for it. So, whether it's anti-money laundering rules, know your client rules, and adhering to those, that's the basics as far as we're concerned, right? It's absolutely important. And it's also what we're registered to do. In addition to that, with blockchain tools, you can see the flow of funds. You can see the blockchain flow of funds too. So we get both sides from both fiat and
And
crypto.
now they're auditing other exchanges as well now.
That's right. Exactly. And when it does come down to it, that word audit and auditable is very important as well. Like, we get audited. We have KPMG, a big four auditor, who gets to go through and understand our business, see our controls, see our processes, look at what we do and how we do it, and complete an audit with us. And that's a big deal in the industry. And not everyone wants to go through that process. And in Binance's case, maybe they weren't prepared to do that in Canada, to open up the books, to open up the records, to show the client base. And that's okay, right? As part of their journey. They're in other markets. They're the biggest in the world for a reason. And the Canadian market is growing, but it's starting, at least, as far as we're concerned, with a high baseline as far as what it takes to be a restricted dealer here in the country. We're seeing that now trickle down a little bit to the United States, where it's a bit more fragmented as far as how the approach is. But at the end of the day, they want it to be seen as an industry that's following the standard practices and rules around money laundering rules, around FINTRAC, FINRA, all of these types of organizations that ensure that we're playing by the same rules, and it's quite clear of how to be safe and secure and compliant with those. And then, when it comes down to the crypto industry itself, that's where there's still, debate of where do things stand, where do things end up being regulated, so to speak.
So you mentioned the US, so we're going to now pivot to the other side. What's happening in respect to expansion and movement and basically our direction of travel into the US? I know that we have quite a few states under our belt, but there's quite a few left. So just wanted to see where we were on meeting all the minimum requirements for that.
Yes, and that application process has been ongoing, and I would say it was more difficult due to um, the crypto environment in the United States. In the fallout of Three Arrows Capital and Celsius and FTX, Binance US, crypto trading platforms fell under a great deal of scrutiny from the business side, the registration side, from the banking side. Getting licenses, getting stood up, increasingly difficult. And it was a tough year for the crypto industry. We decided to continue our push. We have everything in for our first money transmitter license. So everything is submitted. It's in review right now. We're hoping to have a response back on that, I'd say in the next 30 to 60 days, which would give us our first MTL, which is a big accomplishment. The money transmission license allows us to do advertising with Google, with Twitter, with the Meta platforms. You need that. It's a basic, and that's why we haven't been able to do a lot of advertising in the US. And again, similar to what we said in Canada, we're not going to spend a bunch of money chasing things until we're fully prepared. The MTL also allows you to then get into a second process for applications. In the United States, there's an MMLS process, and it's treated as a single door. So once you get your first MTL state, you've kind of met a bare, or not a bare minimum level, but a level of data and information submitted that you can then enhance and do a second application with to open up many states at the same time. So after this, we get to fall into a bit of a single door approach where one application can lead us towards 18 states, potentially more. So that's where things will actually start to speed up for us. We've done a lot of the hard yards this year to get that done. And I'm talking all sorts of submissions, data, phone calls, interviews, all sorts of things, which have been great. And now we're through that process. And that data gets to be shared across states now. So that's good. I'm really excited by it. It has taken a long time, but at the same time, with the market conditions, it's okay. We're set up there. Our technology's there. We run it from Canada. It's a low cost to serve that market for us, which has been advantageous for us. And we can pump some marketing dollars into that during Q1. We're going to go after as many states as possible under the MTL regime, which would be fantastic. We're going to look to the big states like Florida, like Georgia, Ohio. And for us, the goal is to be in over 80% of the US during next year.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing to know that one application directly influences the amount of states that you can pursue at once. So for example, in the past, you've been coming out with one or two states at a time or three.
Yeah.
But you just mentioned, once this is accepted, this application is accepted, for the most part, you could then, fire off 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 states instantly. And moreover, the fact that we have not been able to market it is pretty outstanding. The fact that, that's basically the market's untouched, in my opinion.
That's
And
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And
and
so this will,
it certainly helps and it speeds it up. You go through what's called the multi-state MSB licensing agreement program. You do a phase one review. If you get through your phase one, that gets accepted by all the phase one states. You go through a phase two, that gets accepted by the phase two states. And it allows you to move on, quite quickly. Not every state opts into these. There are states that are not participants, which is okay. There's some different states. It's a state by state regime, have different rules in the way that they want to operate. We're in most of the states that don't participate in this through the kind of no action letter states, as they're called. So it's not easy to set up a crypto trading platform, especially after FTX and after everything we've seen. But we've done the work. We appreciate the patience. Now as the market is turning as far as crypto trading goes, we'll be well positioned. We have our banks. We've got good banks. We've got good resiliency, a great tech stack. We're ready to go. And the thing is, during this year, we've had 17 states. It's been slow because we haven't marketed it, but we haven't spent a lot of money. So it's not like we've been sitting here saying, okay, this and that and the next thing. We're ready to go. With all systems go during this year.
but moreover, I think this explains to the shareholders and the Netcoins users maybe were, questioning why it's been so slow. I think this gives great transparency and light to the fact that,
Yeah,
listen, there's rules, there's regulations, Netcoins intends to follow them, and when it does, Netcoins is ready to go.
yeah.
And that's, what else can you really do? Your hands are tied, right?
Yeah, and we're working at it every day. We've got great partners that help us to achieve this as well. And as soon as we do hear back from the first state, we'll be sure to broadcast it for everyone to know as well. We appreciate the patience in this as well.
Amazing. So fast forwarding into Q1 2024, God willing, we get that license, and God willing, all those good things happen. What are some of the marketing ideas you have lined up, or do you have any? You were mentioning the app earlier. Any new app updates that might coincide with that, and the status of adding more coins? Because I do know that we've slowed down on adding the coins as well. And I know that you guys go through actually a very intense audit process on when you do add coins. A lot of people also don't know. It's not as easy as saying, "Hey, Fraser, let's add coin ABC," right? It doesn't work that way for us.
That's correct. Yeah, and in Canada, the rules around coin additions, you have to have two liquidity partners per crypto asset. So that's a rule, and they're not offered across a lot of these LPs or liquidity providers. So in order to list a coin, you have to have that. We have to go through a coin assessment framework. All of this has to be documented. There's a lot of data and information that has to be put together. We do that. We stay on top of it. When we see new coins, when customers reach out, they get into the backlog, we take a look at them, and we want to add as many as possible. We've got over 40 in Canada right now. That puts us in the kind of top 3, top 4 as far as the market goes. So there are a few others that are new that we certainly have reviewed and we're ready to add. We've rebuilt the back end as far as how coin listings go during this year. So under the hood, significant improvements so that coins can launch a lot faster for us, which is fantastic. And we'll look to add some more coins during the start of the year. The other things that we're working on have been a lot around building out functionality and capability for corporates. We're rebuilding how we onboard corporates, how we get institutions on board. That supports not just those types of businesses, but helps to bolster the OTC trading desk. And the OTC desk for us has been off to a very significant start. We're extremely happy that we're in the game here. We think we've got a really compelling case as to why people should trade with Netcoins, and as well why corporates and institutions and high net worth individuals and family offices should too. We will be building out more capability and functionality around that. We've got another liquidity provider we're bringing on board. We've got some more tech that we're going to build around this. And as we move through next year as well, it's going to be uplifting the web side of things. So as we get into the second half of next year, the goal is to really facelift and uplift the web application. We want to bring in a more professional look and feel. We want to have some quick wins around charting, around what people can see, what actionable insights they can get from data, and anything else that we can plug in to give investors, more information at their fingertips. We'll also look to launch web in the US, so we can bring that channel down to the United States too. We think it's important to have there, and we'll be ready to do that. Other things around kind of the core, more trading pairs, looking at adding more staking functionality, more coins from the staking perspective onto the platform, and more ways to fund your account as well. So looking at quick and easy ways for both Canadians and Americans to fund their accounts. We've got some great things kind of queued up. So we'll be ready to go with that as well.
Amazing, amazing. So I know we can't dive into numbers at the moment, but I know we will find out at the end of the month how we're progressing, just from your point of view, especially with the takeoff with the crypto ETFs, with going into halving. I know buying and selling both generate us money, but it all becomes a number of volume, right? How are we looking in terms of volume? Are we growing in volume? Are we staying steady with volume? How are we looking?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So through the start of 2023 into the third quarter, volume is pretty steady and right around the average numbers. And we've made a press release around the November numbers where we saw significant growth. So September to October, volume rose by 32%. And then October to November, the volume grew 93%. Significant volume growth on the trading side of things. So bolstered by strong market, bolstered by OTC trading and bringing on new clients. So whether they're ATM operators, large corporates, individual traders, we almost doubled our volume month over month, which is significant. That with it brings, more orders, more revenue, more transacting users, and that growth is evident there. Transacting users continues to rise. That's people that log in and effectively do something on the platform. We're seeing September to October that rose 23%, and again October to November that rose 27%. So people are engaging in the platform. They're coming and they're logging in. They're making trades and contributing to that big volume number. Deposits were well up from a fiat perspective, meaning more cash on the platform. So people are, depositing money to trade, to buy assets. And as we've released in November as well, assets under custody around the $80 million mark, which is significant. We started the year closer to 52. So we've grown that quite a bit. And we are seeing a lot more to come, I think, as far as the market goes as we head towards the halving.
Amazing, amazing. So I do need to take a minute and just thank you, honestly, from the shareholders and honestly anybody who's following around. You've been very diligent, very transparent, and very hardworking. And congratulations, you just had a baby, and you didn't take much time off either, and you could see it. But what I will say is to ask you one last question on where and what are your biggest goals for 2024. I know you mentioned many things that you're going to be doing, but what is one of those things that are, is on your list and, you will be very satisfied if completed?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for us, getting that US market stood up and having a clear message in that market, it's been okay to say, hey, we're in 17 states. These are the ones we're in. And if we're not in your state, you can join the waiting list and we'll tell you. That's okay. And we want to get better at that. So we want to be able to have a clear message. Netcoins is in the US, full stop. There might be an asterisk for Hawaii and Alaska and New York State, but that's okay for now. There's a lot of different crypto regimes, but we want to get that done so we can get into our targeted marketing activities. We've got influencers lined up for the United States. We've got marketing activations ready to go. During this year, we did a lot of test and learn and experimentation to see at a low cost what works and what doesn't work. What audiences do we resonate with and which ones do we not? we completed 2 large-scale customer surveys this year with our user base and as well with non-users to understand who they are, what their demographics are, what their needs are, how we can better serve them. And that's been really strong as far as what data we have so that we can be data-driven in the market. Now we know what to flip on and when to flip it on. We have a lot of exciting things lined up for both Canada and the US from an advertising perspective. So again, getting that money transmitter license, get into Google, get the AdWords up, get the SEO up, the keywords, get into the app stores, advertise there, be at the top of the list. I mean, these are, things we get to do in Canada, we'll get to do them in the US. That's exciting for me. And as well, building out the brand. Like we have been on a big evolution, and I've spoken, with this group before about where we've been and where we're going. And we started off with buying Bitcoin and making it easy to buy Bitcoin. And you know what, that was all right for where we were, and now it's changed. Now it's moved more into how can I live my crypto life to the fullest? How can we give you the opportunity to pay and earn crypto? How do you stake your crypto to get continuous earnings? How can you trade your crypto? And a few other things that we might bring into the market during next year, which will be exciting as well. But we want Netcoins to be the platform of choice for retail users that want to live on the crypto side of things, that want to live their crypto life to the fullest. And as well, we want to continue to evolve our brand's maturity with corporate, with institutional, with family offices, so that people can see that we're a strong company. We're backed by a public company that owns us. There's a lot of great information about who we are, and we want to show the market that Netcoins is a small but big player. And what I mean by that is small, that you can talk to us. There's real people. We're behind this. You got an issue, you can call us. I talk to users almost every day. I'm on text with people, making phone calls, and we're approachable, right? And if you are a big company and you're dipping your toes into crypto, you want it to feel that kind of care from an organization like us. And that's the difference for us. Coinbase is gigantic, Binance is gigantic, but you're not going to get that kind of personal feel from them ever again. They're too big. It's gone too far for them. We have an opportunity to capture that market, and that's a big goal for us as well.
Yeah, it's more of a one-on-one concierge kind of service, right? Which, you expect that from big brands. And the fact that you mentioned, making the brand bigger, I think that was one of your biggest goals, I believe, when you first got in, is you did a whole brand redesign, everything from website to the logo to the slogans to everything, basically. And it's very important, especially if we're going to get into the American market. One last thing before I let you go that I just remembered, I do apologize, is staking. How is that going? And are there any thoughts for Ethereum staking at all? And how are you seeing the progression of Bitcoin staking? I apologize. How are you seeing the progression of the Ethereum staking?
Yeah, so Ethereum staking has been very sticky for us. We saw continued growth month over month, quarter over quarter, as far as users staking on the platform. We had over 11% of our Ethereum holders staking Ethereum, which is fantastic. It's a big number. We need to add more assets. So we have a list that we've got, which assets we want to add next. That's on the roadmap. Things changed a lot with staking app right after we launched it. Ethereum staking became extremely popular globally. It wasn't just a Netcoins thing. And the rewards changed quick. The big numbers quickly came down. There's a lot of different proof of stake assets now that we're looking at. We'd love to hear from this group and from our users as well what they'd like to see, but we've got a good list. We look to expand that product set itself, because we think that it's going to be interesting for users, and we want to be able to offer more coins under that product. And you did bring up Bitcoin, which is, of course, it's not a stakeable asset, but it is something that we are exploring with some partners on how we could potentially have a new tool set or product suite centered around Bitcoin on the application. So it's something that we're exploring. We're doing a lot of homework. as we spoke about at the start, Dan's got a lot of experience and background with DMG, with mining, and we're looking around the market to see what we can bring to Netcoins users next.
Amazing, amazing. So Fraser, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated as always. We value you, appreciate you, and we thank you.
Well, I appreciate the group. Appreciate all the support that we get, the ideas that we get, and whether it's good or bad, happy to hear from the group as well. And we really feel the love from the big fam.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, and hope to speak to you once some big things happen.
That sounds great. We'll talk to you in Q1.